Now we're understanding the top court will decide whether or not to set up an independent panel for free and fair appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner and the election commissioners after 4 days marathon hearing. The Supreme Court has reserved the verdict on the plea seeking to convert Election Commission into an autonomous body. Constitution bench headed by Justice K.M. Joseph and also comprising Justices Ajay Rastogi and others have reserved their judgment. Ananya continues to be with us. Ananya, we've already seen the Supreme Court pulling up the center, asking why the hurry, why have we seen all of this appointment take place in just 24 hours? What is the latest that you're picking up now?
Well, the bench had actually gone for a break when we were speaking about this, when the hearing had concluded at that point of time, when the questions were being put to the central government and centre was actually replying through the Attorney General of India, Mr. R. Venkatramai. But what is very, very clear and the biggest development that has taken place at this moment of time is that the orders have been reserved. The Supreme Court has heard all the aspects. The hearing in the matter is concluded. And now the Supreme Court would be pronouncing its verdict very, very soon on whether or not an independent panel is required for a free and fair appointment of the CECs and the ECs. Apart from that, what is very, very important at this point of time also is that 5 days time has been granted to all of the parties to file their written submissions or to file any kind of a document for incursion into this particular dispute and into this particular petition. And we have to remember the trajectory of this hearing that has taken place in 4 days. Remember that on 18th, the Supreme Court had actually started to begin to hear this particular matter. And today, as we speak, the orders have now been reserved. The 5 judges bench, the Constitution bench of the topmost court of the country, headed by Justice K.M. Joseph, has now reserved its order. Remember, we have seen how the central government is continuously being grilled over this particular issue. In fact, particularly on the issue of appointment of CEC Arun Goel, when it was said that how could appointment take place in just 24 hours. Another important observation during this 4 days of hearing was that a CEC, a Chief Election Commissioner, should be so strong that he can take an action also against the Prime Minister of the country if at all required. So apart from that, what has also been said is that the central government has defended the particular structure, the particular process by saying that it is on the basis of seniority and all of the considerations are done. The law minister also considers it, then it goes to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister finally recommends the name if at all. But what has happened in this case, Ridhima, particularly is that the Arun Goel's appointment actually happened in a very short span of time and it subsequently happened on the same day the Supreme Court actually began to hear this case. Another big question that emerges out and is being asked to the central government is that Arun Goel took a VRS, a voluntary retirement for service, and in a very short span of time, he was appointed as a Chief Election Commissioner. So, whenever you take a VRS, whenever you take a voluntary retirement service, there is a 3 months notice that has to be given out, and then you can go on for further take that particular retirement. So, a lot of questions to be answered. The judgment has now been reserved, and we'll see what is the fate, the final fate of the Election Commissioner, and whether or not an independent body is set up to actually appoint the election commissioners and the chief election commissioner as well.